Since the mid-90s, Renault has built some brilliant hot hatch versions of the Clio. There was the Williams, there was the Trophy, there was that crazy V6 one with the engine where the rear seat should have been, and then there was the outgoing Renaultsport Clio 200. And that was one of the most fun hot hatches that I've ever driven. And now there's this new one, which I think you'll agree has some pretty big shoes to fill. The car's exterior is much less outlandish than the outgoing model. It's got quite a subtle, wide intake on the front, a little wing and a diffuser at the back. The major change is that you can now only get the Clio as a 5-door model, although Renault's done quite a good job of hiding the doors by putting the rear door handles up in the C-pillar. An owner of a current Renaultsport 200 Clio Cup wouldn't even recognise the interior of this car. The previous one is all plasticky, and in fact the dash looks like something that Renault might fit to a Dacia now. This new car is all plush leather, these new seats are really soft, they're still quite supportive, but the leather's all quite supple. There's lots of this nice matte red trim, there's also lots of gloss black trim, chrome bits and pieces. The whole ambience of the interior is much posher than before. So one of the major changes about this car is instead of the rev-hungry 2-litre naturally aspirated engine of the old car, this one's got a 1.6-litre turbo. They produce exactly the same 200 metric horsepower, which is 197 bhp, but this one has 25 newton meters more torque. More importantly, it's produced a lot lower in the rev range at 1750 rpm, which means that you get a lot more boost, a lot more mid-range power, so you can accelerate out of bends really easily. Makes quite a big difference too in sort of the way that you can flow between corners. What's more, that new engine is also a heck of a lot more fuel efficient than the old one. I think it's more than 10 miles per gallon better at around 45 mpg. Perhaps the most controversial change with this new car is that you cannot get it with a manual gearbox, and that's a bit of a shocker for fans of the Renaultsport brand, to be honest. The gearbox itself, it shuffles through its ratios in auto mode, a lot like driving any other Clio. It makes life really easy. When you decide to take manual control, you can do that either by moving the gear stick over to the left, pulling back for upper gear, pushing down for down, or use these nice aluminium paddles behind the steering wheel. Unfortunately, the paddles don't move with the wheel, so it actually makes it a little bit tricky to change gear as you would like to. In fact, when you put it into sport mode, it's actually easier to let it do its own thing. Unfortunately, it removes quite a lot of the involvement of the driving experience. To take the edge off the fact that this car is only available with an automatic gearbox, Renault has added launch control, and that is done by putting the car into sport mode by pressing the RS drive button, pulling back both paddles together until the launch control comes on. Then when the light stops flashing, you floor the throttle, and you can hear it warbling away, ready to go. And then as soon as you're ready, you take your left foot off the brake, and the car fires off. That's 60 easily, and I reckon that's very close to Renault's claim for 6.7 seconds from 0 to 62. I'm still not convinced by this gearbox though, and I just don't think that it will offer Renaultsport's committed fans what they want from the car. The chassis is absolutely fantastic, and you can really feel that Renaultsport engineers have really taken a lot of pride in getting this car to handle really nicely. The brakes are really good, they've been uprated from the previous car, and the car also features rally car style hydraulic compression bump stop dampers, which I don't entirely understand, but it does mean that the car rides little bumps a lot better than the old car, but it also still has the same high-speed composure that you want. The car also has an RS diff, which is effectively the same as the torque vectoring system in the Fiesta ST, and it micro brakes the front wheels to mimic the effect of a limited slip diff, removing understeer from corners. This new Renaultsport Clio is a bit of a funny one. On the one hand, it's got a much broader base of talent. It's a much more complete car, and you could totally live with it every day. I also know that given all the electronic aids, I could probably drive this car faster than the old one. However, for me, I just don't think I'd be having quite as much fun either.